Hello and welcome to the 20th episode of the Hangout. I'm your host, Tommy George, and today is a big one. And I don't just mean a big one because of the guest that's coming on. You've probably seen who it is in the title, but a big one because it marks a point in the Hangout where the Patreon gets released. And this is big because not only is it a way for you, the listener, to support the show, but it's a way that your support goes towards funding Australian climbing projects. So whilst releasing the Patreon, I've also released the Hangout Climbing Fund, where 30% of all the money that comes through the Patreon goes directly into the climbing fund, which then we can choose as a community, as a collective, where the money goes and what projects that we want to fund in the Australian climbing community. Most of the information is on the Hang Times previous episode 5. Jump into that if you want a more breakdown. But yeah, I want the Patreon, I want it to be a way that you support the Hangout and the product or the information that I bring you every week. But I also want it to be a way that it just puts it back into the climbing community. So that's the way I've thought of doing it. And I'm excited to get the ball rolling for it as well. It doesn't just mean Patreon Climbing Fund being released. We also are releasing our first product. The Dosage mug is also now live. The first 5 supporters of the show through the Patreon will receive a free Dosage mug. I'm excited to get that one out to you. And then they're going to go live on the store to be able to be purchased. But the most important thing is this week's guest. Tom O'Halloran is one of Australia's most decorated climbers. He's represented Australia not just on the world stage, but at the Olympics. He was the first male Australian climber to do so. He's also sent Wheel of Life V15. He's also sent Hump of Trouble, a 36 9A+, the first of its grade in Australia. So he's a man who is an absolute machine on the wall when he's climbing. But speaking to him, you can just tell he is thoughtful and has depth and is such a great advocate and someone to look up to in Australian climbing. So I hope you all listen to this episode twice because there's so many cool nuggets that he just shares. Yeah, it's a fun one. So I hope you all enjoy it. I want to thank you all for supporting the show, doing everything that you do to support it. Now there's ways to do it, there's avenues to do it, and ways to help grow Australian climbing through it. So I hope you all enjoy episode 20 of The Hangout with Tom O'Halloran.
Basically, rock climbing became a way of life.
Tom Squared. Thanks for accepting this. This is a big moment for me, I feel, because, you know, coming into this world of, podcasting and chatting to Australian climbers and wanting it to be a thing, like you were on my list of people like pretty high up to have on the podcast. And now I'm sitting here with you. So it's like a really, really special moment for me to show that, like, yeah, humble beginnings, I'm kind of a year and a half of work into this, but, only 3 months in and already speaking to you. I'm like super stoked to do this. And I think a nice place to start the conversation with you is like humble beginnings. You're a leader in Australian bouldering, like a highly, V15 climber. You've also sent the hardest climb in Australia. You're also on the World Cup stage. You've represented Australia at Olympics. Like, you have this decoration and accomplishments, but we start somewhere. So I think I would like to start back and go back to just the humble beginnings of maybe a bit of reflection of what it's like to see where you are now as a climber and as a person, and go back to a bit of the youth and where it all started for you.
Yeah. I guess I just loved going climbing and really enjoyed that before I even knew it was climbing as well. Like, it was just, it was, mum says that, I was climbing out of the cot as a little kid, and I just, climbed around in the mango tree in the backyard in Brisbane and balanced along the fence and like did laps around the house, hanging off the windowsills and the bars and stuff on the windows. And it just felt like a really natural thing for me to do. I really liked it. And I didn't know that there was a thing called rock climbing as such. It was just doing it. And then, some family friends said, hey, you know, we're climbers and there's a new climbing gym that's just opened up and your kid seems to be pretty psyched on it. You know, you should bring him along. So I was 12 years old and joined up to the Geckos program at Urban Climb in West End. And the gym had only been open for a couple months at that point, and I just loved it. And I have kind of just tried to keep going with that the whole time, just that real love for it. It's probably like going a little bit too deep too early, but like I really think that so many of us that spend a lot of time climbing, like it's, for me, that was 2004. So it's 22 years now that I've been a rock climber. And you can get, especially as things get harder, you know, talking about like getting on hard projects or, you know, competing for Australia or whatever it is, and you put those sort of goals out there, you can forget, or at least I can forget, that actually I'm trying to just chase that feeling that I had in that first couple weeks even of climbing, of just like loving it for nothing other than just the feeling of problem solving it and moving up the rock in a way that was completely detached from the difficulty of it as such. Like, you know, I didn't know about grades. I didn't know about anything like that, but it was just like, it was the pure fun of going climbing. And you go through all of those, like, you know, highlight moments as such, that people hear about. And it's just, trying to reconnect with that beginning period again. So.
Yeah, I mean, let's jump straight into that. And I think that's like that's a perfect place. Like the question of how have you kept it, or like when it does wane, I feel like almost inevitably, especially projecting at your limit or at Australia's limit, you know, like there's a lot of pressure and everything behind the process of it all. Like how have you managed to be able to like fall back into that childlike self and just have fun and the love of climbing?
I guess I never really sought out to achieve anything for anything other than myself. And it's easy, I guess, to have a look at what people are doing online or whatever it is. So I'm going to just talk from my experience. Like I've never sought out to try and climb like the grades that I have or anything. Like for sure, when I was a kid, I was like, man, if I ever climbed 30, like retire, like, you know, like done. And, you know, I've now on-sighted 2 grades harder than that.
Yeah. So
like,
sick.
but you know, so the goalposts always move, but like bolting Hump of Trouble, or bolting some of the other routes that I've bolted that have become some of like the, you know, the first of the grade or one of the first, it was never for anything that I was trying to like chase the next grade or look for the next thing to push me. It was just like, that looks cool. I reckon I could try and climb up that. Like there's enough holds there. And so, yeah, I guess it's just like, it was a really intrinsic thing. And I did get into trouble, like for anyone that's maybe watched my Hump of Trouble video, I kind of talk about it in there, like this process of, so I bolted it in like 2016 or 17 and spent a few years getting closer and closer. And it's just really flipping hard. And I did at that point, as I was getting closer in about 2019, got a bit caught up in thinking that this was going to be like the next breakthrough. And I got outside of that space that I really like to hold on to, which is just like going out there for the fun of it. And that got in my head and it mucked me up pretty hard. And I wasn't able to actually just climb. And it was really hard to get out of that headspace. And I don't think I really was able to without getting distracted by, you know, trying to qualify for the Olympics and that sort of thing being drawing me away for a few years. And then I did a bunch of sort of growth and maturing and that sort of stuff, and was able to contextualize just going climbing again and came back to it with a better headspace. But yeah, like I always just wanted to go climbing and find something that, like a sequence that was cool. And like for me, it's like it's the problem solving of working out like, man, how do I do this after climbing, whatever difficulty up to here. Like, how am I going to do this efficiently and sort of whittling it down? And I'm probably fairly unanalytical with my climbing, and it's a bit more intuitive. And
Nice.
I think my own fault sometimes, like it stuffs me up, and I get like stuck into one sequence and just go for it. Like I believe that I'm probably one of the worst at finding sequences in the country. It's like the amount of people that come and get on. I think it's just the nature of first ascenting. Like especially if you've bolted it as well. Like you see this sequence as you're sitting there in the harness with all your gear on. You're like, that'd be sick, and you just like that's the first thing you try, and you get just locked into that being the coolest thing ever. And then someone comes along, you're like, yeah, but you could just like do this and get a little bit sort of in my own way with that sort of thing. But yeah, it's always just been just for the love of it, really. But then you're talking about like the motivation waxes and wanes, and for sure I've had my ups and downs. I reckon in 2016, so that was the year that I'd done Kitten Mittens and Baker's Dozen, which were kind of like the first two 35s that an Australian had climbed. Alex Megos a couple of years earlier had done the Red Project. I think that was 2013, and then Schweinebauman in 2015 when he came back. So they were the first 35s in the country, but those Baker's Dozen and Kitten Mittens were the first
Australian climbers.
Australian 35s. And then I did Scurvy, which is a multi-pitch out at Perry's Lookdown, and that had some hard pitches in it and like the big projects for the year. And I was just mentally burnt out and really ready to just actually just give up on climbing. I was just like had lost the motivation for it and couldn't connect with it and couldn't find a way to connect with it. And then like we'd been on holidays over to the Southwest WA, and I've always really enjoyed surfing, and like we just had good weather there for Christmas, and I had a job over there. I was doing FIFO work in the mines, and I landed a job that was pretty consistent and good, and I was like, sweet, we'll just like buy a house over there. I don't need to fly over from here. And I just stop climbing so much. Like I always knew that climbing would be sort of a part of my life, but just how much it is. But I was really ready to just step away and go go surfing and all that. And then a friend, I probably didn't climb for like 3 months, I reckon. And then a friend dragged me out to Elphinstone, and I think that day I got on Schweinebauman and like got my ass kicked, but was able to put together moves
3 months off and then jump on a 9A.
Yeah. But I've done so much climbing at that cliff before at Elphinstone, and so kind of familiar with how it all sort of worked and all that. But yeah, it was just like just lit a little fire in my belly again.
Cool.
Like, ooh, that's kind of fun. And I just needed that time off, and I didn't give myself a hard time about it, or I wasn't holding on to anything. I guess like over Christmas periods and stuff like that, I'll generally just go, sweet, I'm just going to give myself 2-3 weeks off from climbing. Like I might get out a little bit, but like I'm not thinking about it at all. And those fluctuations, I think, are really good in your climbing to maintain a healthy love for it. And I always generally feel pretty motivated to go out climbing when I do, because when I'm not climbing, I'll generally try and switch off from it. And it just means that like, we all kind of get a little bit upset that we've got to spend all that time at work or whatever it is. But like for me, it just like builds up that psyche to get back out climbing. And yeah, it's super fun. 2024 as well, I think actually I was again pretty ready to sort of step away from climbing a little bit. And I'd done Hump of Trouble the year before and had done a bit of on-sighting and a few other bits and pieces. And I was just like feeling a bit sort of directionless. It was funny actually, after Hump of Trouble, there was like this sense of loss and sadness that I had actually, because that route had been a part of my life for so long. I spent 4 seasons on it basically. and then with like a couple year gap in the middle when the Olympic stuff was happening. And yeah, at that point, it was like a third of my climbing life that I'd thought about trying to climb that route, which was, it's a lot of time. And then to step away from it or to have done it, and you're just like, oh, what do I do? And I just felt a bit directionless and not really sure where to go next. And I was, ready for just trying something different. And so I got into trail running pretty hard for about 6 months, which was super fun. I really enjoyed it. And like I'd never really run prior to that, and actually like actively avoided it because I just got hot and sweaty and just like, oh man, this sucks. But then like, man, the trail running here in the Blue Mountains is so good. Totally. And I just saw it as efficient sightseeing. Like, totally, yeah. It's we went through the Grand Canyon with my folks, and it took 3 hours to get through, and it was like 4 and a bit Ks or something. The whole loop's 6 Ks. And it was just like, you stop for a snack and a drink and all that sort of thing. And then just as we were like coming out the last big steps at the end, Amanda had finished work, and then she'd been running for a few years, and she just came running through and was like, I'm leaving work, and we'd just gotten reception, and it's like the last, I don't know, half K to get out. And she just about caught us and was like, whoa, man, we just took 3 hours to get through there. And then I was like, man, that's sweet. Like, I want to do more of that. I want to see more of the Blue Mountains. But like, God, I hate hiking. I hate walking. But running could be a sweet way. And so I just like dove into that and just like got pretty motivated to like go into that space for a little while. But then, I got dragged back out to Diamond Falls and reconnected with climbing again and got the bug and climbed the Red Project a few months later, which is like another route that had just been on my list for so long. It's like this like really cool representation of technical hard Blue Mountains climbing that had just been like this goal off in the distance for a while. So I think the ebb and flow of motivation and stuff is like, I always just go with it. Yeah. And it's totally okay to go with it and to reevaluate like what it is that fires you up about climbing. Like I'm really excited by like the adventure side of things at the moment, and like going to sort of more remote places and being a bit more self-reliant than like, I don't want to blow myself up as like, some Himalayan badass dude, like it's totally not, but it's that stuff's kind of cool. Totally, but like it can just be going multi-pitching for a little while, or going off to somewhere that is like, if you're a boulderer, you go bouldering, but it's like somewhere off the beaten track, and you just kind of reconnect with like sitting there underneath a boulder and just like chilling by yourself for a little while, because that stuff is like, for me, like how I reconnect with Tom the climber and Tom the kid that just loved it for the sake of loving it. So it's
a great answer.
45-minute monologue.
Well, I mean, so much comes up in my mind as you're speaking about it, but like just my process right now is probably the one to touch on. Like me on this 10-day trip in the Blue Mountains, to climb, to record with you and everything. But I've also got this project at home that I've put 7 days into over the past sort of few months. And I'm just like, I just want that so badly. And I don't want to have to go into another project in mindset somewhere else. So like my goals for coming here was just to like, I just want to clip some chains. Like I just want to just get some nice volume in and just climb and feel what it's been like just to climb again, and not just bolt to bolt and sit on a rope, which I love the process, but I'm like pretty burnt out from it at the moment. So just finding a new motivation, and it hasn't really gone that way. And I think I'd love to know like your little tips, or like some insights or anything around like my partner who I've come up with, climbing partner, not Haley, my fiance, but my climbing partner who I've come up with, he's here to like just get on hard things and just like really, really try. And that's leading us away from like, I think the things that I also want to do. So balancing that's quite hard at the moment. Like we're not in a vibe. We're just like, as a relationship goes, we're Trouble in Paradise.
On the rocks.
It's a little on the rocks. Because he just wants to go and jump on these hard projects where I'm like, I just want to get some ticks and just have some fun and flow and like get some places where Hay can jump on and all this sort of stuff. So like maybe it was a miscommunication of what we both wanted from the trip or something like that. But like, how have you been able to manage these, like especially taking people out to, you know, for so many years, taking people out to the Hump of Trouble and having them belay you and having them be like that supportive structure that you need and allow you to create the space that, like, you know, this hard climb. There's a hard climb and I need you to be like this motivating factor as well on the other end of the rope. Like, are there some tips or anything around that or have you been in situations like this or can you feel around it for me?
There's definitely a lot of propaganda that went on about how good the underworld climbing is for people to come down.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. No, it's very fun and that spot.
Here we go again. It's actually very good.
Yeah. It's like when I was hitting a bit of a roadblock with Hump of Trouble and just like falling off in the same spot for, you know, days and days and days, and you're like, man, I can't kind of break through into something different. As a family, we went down to Nara and went climbing down there, and I had that like, oh, I'm just gonna clip some chains and like it was still kind of not just like mindless climbing. I was still trying, but I came back and I felt so much better on the route and like immediately just broke through. And I think it was just like being able to approach it with a lighter heart and a lighter head, and that meant a lot to me. And it was like this good, you know, intellectually we all realize when we're in a kind of rut or like you've hit a wall in your projecting process, and wherever that may sit, like for some people that's after 7 days, for some people that's after 7 years, for some people it's like 7 attempts. And we know that like going off and doing that stuff is like, you know, just going clipping some chains is the important part. Or not, you know, clipping chains, but just like reconnecting with why
having fun on it.
I think it's really easy to think that because like, you know, I'm climbing harder than other people or that other people are climbing harder, you know, that they have all of the answers. And like, you know, I definitely don't have that, but like I've been through it enough times, I guess, to sort of, step away. But I hold on to that stuff, like the projects with a lot of love, but hold on to them lightly. So that I can really, when I'm there, I really want to try or just don't. And just like, I think when we get on harder things, like we forget that it is hard and that's what kind of we're after. And this is just the process. And like through the Hump of Trouble thing, as I was struggling, I was like, I know one day I'm going to do this. Like despite all evidence, I know it's going to happen. And I just need to keep showing up in the different ways. And sometimes, or I need to keep on putting in the work. And sometimes putting in the work is like stepping away and doing nothing and giving yourself a time. Like it's really easy to get into that. Oh, I just need to like grind harder at the gym and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And like, that's just not the answer sometimes. But yeah, I guess try and connect with the little bits and maybe, you know, if you're in that struggle in the relationship, you know, it can just even be just feeling your feet as you walk into the cliff and just go, you know, like feel the sun on your face and go, man, this is nice. Like, yeah, it's probably not the cliff I want to be at, but like just connecting with like what it is that draws us out into the space as well, into, you know, why we climb. Because like, gosh, it's pretty awesome and we get to do it in some beautiful places and we can forget that and just get locked into thinking about the next send or whatever. But yeah, I don't know, it's like, and for different people it's going to be different answers. Like there's a lot of people that really thrive in that, like, you know, I'm going to push harder but for me that's like I'm way more of a softie than that. And you know, sometimes that like little killer instinct comes out and you just want to rip the holds off the wall, but like I'm way more of a feeler than that. And I just step away and stuff happens. And I think we can put too much emphasis on a project or and what it means to us.
Yeah.
I get caught up in it sometimes, but you just step away and just go, man, just like it really just doesn't matter. Like
Totally.
what matters is just the love of the game kind of thing. And yeah, I really connected actually listening to Chris Sharma talk was in an interview just after he'd done Sleeping Lion. And I think it was around the time like 23 or 24 after I'd done Hump of Trouble and was kind of in a bit of a weird limbo. And he was talking about his motivation over the years. And he's like, man, sometimes like the best thing that you can do to show your love for climbing is to not climb. And like, I connected with that so much at the time with the headspace that I was in. I was like, man, I really love it, but I don't love the way that it's currently, the way that I currently connect with it. And so I just stepped away and let it do its thing. And yeah, I mean, a quote that I always remember when I first started climbing, that someone, apparently it's a French quote where it's like, the rock is not a frog, it will not hop away. Or, you know, your project is not a frog. Like it doesn't quite settle as well with all the closures and things that do happen at the moment in Australia. But that was definitely something that I kind of connected with, and it was like, like it's there.
We've got
It'll
time.
happen. Yeah. So I don't know if anything is tangible to go away for the next couple of days of not getting a catch in the spots that you want to get a catch. But you know, sometimes you just got to go, oi, I've given you a catch, dude. Like, throw us a bit of respect this way and let's go do it.
Yep.
So sometimes, hard conversation. It's easy to not give yourself a voice sometimes in your climbing. And, you know, especially if you're someone that's like maybe not climbing as hard as the people around you and you go, oh, my climbing's like less important or whatever. It's like, man, like everyone's climbing is as important as everyone else's.
Yeah. Which,
you know, means that it's like, it is okay to say, hey, like, I don't want to be here. I want to go to Barden's this afternoon and just like run some laps on the slabs there or whatever it is. And, you know,
I
might
think
actually be okay for you to do the same thing.
now this afternoon, I think, because it was, we're tossing up whether to have a climbing day, and I don't think he's going to climb, but I might take Hay out to like Mossy's Wall or Mossy Wall or something like that. And it's just got like a couple of 10s, 12s. Hardest there is a 19 or something like that. And I'm like, that for me is like the love of climbing comes from so many different directions. Like what I'm doing right here is like because it's my love of climbing, you know. But then also being able to see Hay on a 10, top rope in a 10 is just like, sometimes I'd prefer to watch this than climb, you know? And that's sometimes unfathomable for people.
And like, you know, I love going out to those easier spots and just like fully playing as well, where it's like, I'm going to try and climb this with like, you know, do something silly. Or like, it's not silly, dangerous or anything.
Only heels.
But just like, just make it fun. And it's like, you make it play again. And that's super awesome. But yeah, it's like, you know, you're saying, you know, delaying your partner on stuff. And like, it's the same thing for me, man, with my daughter. Like she's 12 in a few days. And like she loves basketball, and like it is as awesome for me to see her operate in the world and do that. And like it brings me and Amanda so much joy to see her interact with the world and have her own experiences with the world. And she's teaching us stuff and showing us, like, so much of the beginning part of a parent is like showing your kid the world and showing them all the amazing things that can happen, and, you know, teaching them the lessons and making them safe and all these sorts of things. And then they hit this certain point where like they have enough experience to then show you the world. And like she has taught us all these, you know, cool things and opened it. Like Amanda and I never played basketball, and she has just like fallen in love with it. And we now, like Amanda and I love basketball now. And like Audrey went off to school camp last year, and Amanda and I went down and got courtside tickets for the for the Sydney Flames game. And we're just there watching the girls just like play such awesome hard basketball. And we're both like, oh, this is amazing. And it's like, that's never an experience that I was gonna have without having a kid and being open to, like, you know, seeing the joy in someone else interact with the world. So yeah, like it's not life's way more fun when you share it.
Yeah.
And it's not about you.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, I think that's beautifully said. I do want to move back into Hump of Trouble just a little bit. Like you touched on the YouTube video that you made, and I've watched that a couple of times and then watched it again recently for this. And there's a point in it, like you talk about that switch that happened where you started finding joy and everything. But there was also a point where, like, I think you fell from the last move and you had like this tantrum, this fit, and then it cut to you in this gym and being like, you know, that's not okay, like having that sort of emotion like that. And I think that's totally a perfect representation of the emotion that you should be having. Like, I think that's totally allowed. Like, you can even just if you just watch the video, you fall, and like all of those years of build up of like effort and everything is in that moment. Like, you can see how much you care about it, which is so cool. And you're angry because it didn't happen, and like all of this emotion comes out. And then, you know, you stop swinging and slowly getting lowered down, and you switch, like you fairly quickly switch back to like, it's going to go. Like there's still a positivity. Like it wasn't, I don't know. I just wanted to touch on, like, I think the way that you expressed it was exactly how you should have expressed it. Cause in the video you're like, I think that was a bit too much, but no, like I think that's how we see how much it means to you, how hard it is, like everything that's going into it. So I think, to the people that are listening, to yourself, to me, like, you can have those people at the Crags who are just constantly screaming and angry, and that's, I don't know, sort that out.
Yeah.
But like when you've got these projects that you've just put everything into, you're allowed to feel that emotion. Like you're allowed to feel that angst and frustration and everything as well.
I think I'm definitely someone that feels a lot of emotion, and that's kind of like a blessing and a curse for me. And I definitely feel okay with like how the emotion that I felt, but I guess I don't like the outbursts of that. I feel really embarrassed by that, like, outburst in a way. I guess like if it's just me there in the forest by myself, like it's okay in a way. But I've seen people like chuck wobblies at the cliff, and it's like
a wobbly. That's what you said.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Like it's so cringy and so like it just, I don't know, like, yeah.
Especially as soon as you
that's the
start
passion that we've got. Hey, but for me, I've always tried, and I think I've like always been able to do it, is to like switch from like that like release and frustration to like my goal is always when I hit the ground, or even before I hit the ground, it's like, man, I got to like put that shit aside, because like it sucks, you know. We've all been at the cliff when like, you know, there's bad vibes from people or whatever, and it's like, man, it's not up to me to like ruin my climbing partner's day as well. Like that sort of sucks. So yeah, it's a tricky one, that like roller coaster of emotions. But you know, the funny thing with that stuff is like, you know, I got so freaking upset and cranky and all that, but like that when that happened, that is the hardest piece of climbing that I'd ever done in my entire life. And so there's like these funny two things that happen where it's like, that is by definition, because it's the furthest I've got up, the hardest thing I've ever tried. Yeah. My sort of greatest climbing achievement that I'd ever had. And I was the most upset that I've ever been. And so like, it's funny, this like push-pull that's there. And we just like forget actually that like sometimes the biggest, you know, amount of emotion that we feel and that happening is also happening at the same time as the greatest piece of athletic achievement that we've ever had. Yeah. You know, so yeah, that's a funny thing that we have to sort of go back and forth with. And like, I felt that with comp climbing as well, where it's like, man, you know, I won the competition, but I felt like crap when I climbed, and that really sucked. And then I've been, you know, climbed super well and like really happy with how I climbed, and it's not the result I wanted. Like I always wanted to win, and maybe I came second or third, but I was like, man, I hit my goal of like feeling good on the wall. And you can't control some things, and that's okay. You just like gotta let it go. But yeah, it's really important, I think, to recognize when those things happen, like the big emotions and sometimes the greatness that we just did and got cranky at ourselves for it.
Yeah. Express it, but yeah, what you said there, like being able to digest it fast, I think is a skill, and it seems like you do that quite well. Is that a learned skill, or is that where is that sort of mindset come from?
I don't know. I guess just like maybe seeing other people do it or whatever, or just being like self-aware enough to just be like, oh man, like that's not cool, like to wreck other people's day in that way. Like it's okay to just leave it and try and move on. Yeah, it's funny actually. One time I was trying this route down in Sail Away Wall. It was an old project of Vince Day's that he'd bolted many years ago. And I remember going down to that wall for the first time in like 2009, and the drawers are hanging on it. It's a big sweeping sort of like from the valley floor to the top. It was like 45 meters or something maybe. Oh. And I had fallen off. It must have been close to 10 years later or something. After he'd bolted it, I was projecting it and fell off the top on the mantle on this, like, because you mantle out after this hard sequence. I was like, man, this is like amazing. And like mantling out and then fell off and chucked another pretty big wobbly. But the funny thing was, well, not funny, but funny. You kind of like run it out a bit. There's quite a bit of rope out. And because like I'm heavier than Amanda, like she gets sucked up in the air. So basically I took like quite a big fall, and we didn't have enough rope for me to get lowered to the ground because I'd cut my rope shorter and shorter and shorter. And then it was like so low that I had to like bounce up, but I was so pumped that I'm just like dangling there in space. You're just like, man, like I can't boink up. Amanda can't lower me. I'm like way out from the wall, so I can't like swing in. You're just there. You're like, and you just couldn't help but laugh at myself. And like, I was upset from having fallen off that. And it's funny because it's right underneath sort of the Glen wave wall, Shipley kind of area, and people are like, oh, is that you? Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah, just like, echoed through the.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, it was like this funny little kind of little echo speaker chamber sort of thing.
It bounces off all the cliffs.
But yeah, it was just that was like, man, I can't help but laugh at myself for that. Like I think it's just like it's not taking it too seriously. So I think that's how I've kind of been able to try and put it behind so much. Like I'm not going to pretend I'm perfect with it all the time. Stuff gets under my skin and I get cranky and I get upset by not feeling like you've given it your all. But I try and think about things in this way where like you might fall off and you might be disappointed with your effort, and it might be worse than what you've done in the past, and you know that you can get more out of yourself. But I always just think, like, with all of the skills that I have in the world right now, all of the experiences and knowledge and all of that, that is literally the best that I could do. And I might be frustrated that my head got away from me, or that, I didn't concentrate on setting that right. But that's a lesson for me to take. And at the moment, that is, because that's what I did. That is literally the best that I could do with the skills. Like I didn't have the skill to switch on enough to place the heel in the way that I should have, or whatever it is. So like there's a bit of solace in that, of just like accepting that is just where I'm at, and that there is another little lesson to learn. And yeah, I'll still get cranky, when I fall off. But that for me is this like nice little, and it's not an excuse for like apathy or anything like that. Like I still, want to have that drive and that motivation, but that's where I'm at. And the quicker we can accept that that's where you're at, the better, I reckon.
Can you speak to then, like, that sort of touching on expectations, like with those skills at that time, it's just like, that's the best you could have done. because you maybe didn't have the skill to release these expectations and the pressure of yourself. Like, are there ways that you've been able to release expectations? And also, I mean, you've dealt with, I assume, a lot of pressure in your climbing career as well, and still have found the fun and the love, whether on the comp scene or the world stage or hard projects. How do you release the expectations that people have on you, but then also you have on yourself?
I guess for my outdoor climbing, I don't feel the expectations from people. For the comp climbing, because it is such a public thing, it was something that I was a little bit more aware of. But yeah, when I get caught in those cycles of, especially for the outdoor climbing, where you are in your head and you've got expectations of like what I want to do and all that sort of thing, I just can't help but kind of come back to just that love of the climbing, and that's hard to connect with sometimes. And so it's like, okay, I'm just going to try and like do a move, do the next move. Like there's no point in worrying about how I'm going to feel at the top. Like I'm 17 moves away.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that is
So
irrelevant.
Yeah. It's
like
a universe away.
Yeah. And it's like, man, I need to get through this move
Mm.
right here in front of me. And I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do this and I'm going to do this. And yeah, there was definitely something that helped me through different projects. Is like, man, just it's literally the move in front. It's the move in front. It's the move in front. And sometimes it's like it's looking for different cues through that move, and different sort of sensations or feelings that you want to try and connect with. Yeah, it's hard though.
Mm.
Like, there's never, if there's a silver bullet for any of these sorts of problems, then it's not hard. Like, it is just like by the nature of hard climbing, it is just going to be hard, and it's going to be difficult to make stuff happen, and to, we're going to ride out all of those emotions, and those ups and downs of it all. Progress is never going to be linear on it. So yeah, and like I would try in different ways to have a mini goal for the day, or just try and find, if I didn't have like a mini goal for the day, it would be like finding a win. And sometimes finding a win is just like, I felt slightly more calm as I was tying in, or I actually just really enjoyed the conversation that I had with the person that I was climbing with that day. Like we just sat there and had a cup of tea and a brownie, and like we just really enjoyed, chatting about not even climbing, a work thing or whatever it is. And sometimes that's really nice. Or, you saw a cool flock of black cockatoos, like just going through. It's like, it can, you can get sucked into thinking that it's got to be like, the next link or the next whatever. And yeah, sometimes it's not. On Kitten Mittens, like one of my goals was to have generally I would always I'd have a nice warm up at the cliff. I'd jump on and do a bolt to bolt, because I like to sort of just like reconnect with the holds and, make sure that there's not like a spider's nest or something that's coming in.
Surprise snake or something.
Yeah, exactly. You just like, I can brush all that off, and I don't waste a red point attempt like getting boxed, falling off because there's like crumbs on the rock or whatever it is. So, you go and prepare the route, and then I'd have 2 or 3 like proper tie-ins for the day. And for a little while there, it was like the goal wasn't to progress my high point. It was to progress my like third go high point, which was going to be lower than the other ones because I was fatigued. But the goal of that attempt was to get on and just connect with the moves again, and to try and progress my third go high point a little bit higher, because it's easy to think it's got to be like it's got to be higher and higher and higher for the like ultimate checkpoint. But yeah, sometimes it's that. And or even having, I always loved having a route at the cliff that would be like the season opener project that wouldn't be particularly hard or anything relative to like the big main goal. But I loved just like connecting with that and enjoying climbing, clipping the chains on that sort of thing, and just falling in love with climbing and moving. And that sort of thing. So yeah, I think you just got to find the stuff that connects with you, and whatever that is. And sometimes, it's not about like the next high point or whatever. It's just like, it's the simpler parts of it.
Yeah, I think that's sage advice. Totally. With creative process balancing burnout and everything like that, like you're quite an active climber, but then, you know, you also produced Baffle Days, and then you also got an active YouTube channel and like just content coming out. I have a few questions around that, but I guess the first one is how do you, and it's sort of, I guess, related to similar to the expectations question of like, how have you been able to balance like the persona that you have being Tom at home, and then like bringing that authentic self, which I think you do really well on your videos and everything like that, but like constantly bringing that out to people's faces and being like so in the public eye and expressing authenticity. Like it's more of a question that's, you know, I want the answer to, like with doing this and trying to find new avenues and ways to like connect with climbing and find that motivation. Can you speak to that a little bit of, creative outlets and how it's helped you?
I just I just really love doing that stuff. And I love, as you know, listeners can probably tell so far, I love like talking and thinking about things and putting stuff out there. Like I love it. And I will like constantly frustrated that I'm not able to do more of it because of just like, you know, my inability to look after my own time. I like get swamped by just stuff that is a complete time waste. But yeah, I love putting that stuff out there and connecting with people and telling a story, and like there's never any expectations on like where that stuff was going to go, or but yeah, it just seemed like a good idea at the time. I was like, man, I want to do this. And like I definitely fell into the trap of I did like way too much research about like all of the podcasting gear to get, and then spent way too long thinking about then how, like, which ones I was actually going to get. And then I bought it, and then it sat in a bag in the cupboard for like 12 months or something, and like just never got round to making it happen. But it was just like these little steps of doing it, and then just like it felt awesome to chat to people and to do that stuff. And you know, Amanda and I talk like weekly. We're like, oh, that'd be great for the podcast. Oh, that'd be like, we haven't done them properly for quite some time now. We had a little run of like 3 episodes or something at the beginning of this year, but then just like time slips away, and we just need to like, we both really love doing it, and we just need to carve out that time and like see it as not this like thing that we're trying to add in, but like this like important core part of our week or our fortnight or whatever it is. And the climbing, like the YouTube stuff as well, it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, I have these ideas and these stories and I don't know, like things that I feel like I want to share with the world. And it's such a fun way to do it. Like I'm definitely way more of an introverted person. Like I find like the big groups like really tricky. Like I really enjoy being there and kind of doing it, but like it costs me a lot emotionally and like energetically. But I just love doing it, and the feeling of doing it means more to me than the feeling of like regret to not do it in a way. I just want to put it out there and like if it lands with people, it lands. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like it's not trying to do anything other than just like tell my side of the story in a way, and that just, it feels so fun. And like no expectations as to where it's going to lead or what they will do. It's just like for the joy of doing it. And it's like, it's so cool to see way more of that stuff like starting to happen in Australia. And like, you know, what you're doing, and the Layback podcast started just as we kind of launched ours. And like, it's cool to just see like the Australian climbing community getting big enough that like this stuff matters, and that like people are coming into it with all these different skills and ideas, and like they just want to share it and hear it and see it. And like, yeah, just I think it really adds a lot. Like I remember just being a tiny little kid in Brizzy and like reading through the Rock magazine or reading different people's like blogspot accounts and that sort of thing. You're just like, just like, I love hearing about that.
Totally.
Like it's a story, and you know, none of us feel particularly psyched by the idea of like, oh yeah, you know, this person just climbed a new 9C or whatever it is. It's like, it's meaningless, but if there's a story behind it and a person, and like, it means way more to us. And yeah, it's like just an awesome way for us to connect and understand and see what other people are up to and learn new things and hear different perspectives. And like, you don't necessarily need to agree with all of them or whatever, but like the fact that it's out there is super important.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I totally agree. I think like what I really like about like where Australian climbing media is just like it creates such a relatable aspect. Like what you're saying with someone climbing in a new 9C, or I think Zach Garler just climbed a Megatron, and you're like, yeah, it is cool. Like it's cool to see, but it really doesn't mean a lot for us. You can put a little red heart on the Instagram and like it, or send a little fire emoji or something like that. But, you know, like, yeah, having an Australian do something in Australia, I think is so much more important for us to like create that culture and the community around it all, which just keeps it doing its thing. It keeps it growing.
Yeah. And there's so much rad stuff that happens here.
Totally.
And like, you know, I care way more about what someone has done in the Grampians or in the Blue Mountains or Mount Coolum or wherever it is than I do that some like jacked 23-year-old American bro has done in Colorado. You're like, just don't care.
Yeah, it's not really
like I'll watch the video. You'd be like, yeah, that's fine. But like, I'm way more psyched to hear about what, you know, has happened at Mount Buffalo than,
and it just doesn't get like the coverage. I think what you do does get a good amount of coverage because of what you do and how you put yourself out there with your media that you do and everything like that as well. But like, there are people out in Australia who are doing like also pretty incredible things, and you just don't hear about it. Like I didn't know Ryan Sklenicker's name for 6 years. Yeah. You know, and now like being in the world, I'm like, oh, he's crushing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, damn. Like,
totally.
There's crazy. Like I think, episode 2 or 3, I was like speaking about it. I'm like, hey, I just don't know his name. I mean, like I should know these people's name. Like they're forefront, like yourself, like forefront of Australian climbing and really helping create like this, again, community, or create this, I guess, inspirational force behind like everyone to follow, to be like, oh, this is possible in Australia. Because I think it is really hard to see sometimes, like when you see on the world stage in comp climbing and stuff like that, and you see Australia, like, you know, now it's getting to a level where I think it's awesome, but like still it's just like I want to see like making finals, and then I want to see all of that. So it's really hard to create like where we stand on a world stage. So just being able to actually feel it and see it in a new media form, I think is super important for the people coming up to be like, okay, we can do it.
Yeah. And like, man, for anyone that's thinking about like making YouTube, making a podcast or like a blog or whatever it is in Australia, like far out go for it, because it's fun, it's hard, it's cool. Like we want to hear those stories, and it's just like, you know, I got a little bit kind of caught up with the introspection of that stuff of like, oh man, like it's a bit like cringy to, you know, talk about yourself or whatever. And like for me, it's like, it's definitely not about self-promotion in any way. It's way more about like just wanting to tell a story that isn't there. And like that might sound like pretty much the same thing, but for me there was this like mental shift of just like, no, I'm not like trying to like tell people how rad I am. It's just like, this is an experience that I had, and I feel like it could connect with people and be relatable. And like I in a way I wish that like I would do it if it could be faceless in a way, because and it's like if I wasn't a part of it as such. Like I love that idea of like the stories being out there. So like for anyone, like it doesn't need to be that you're like climbing the hardest grades or you've got like the most profound stories or whatever. Like it's so funny or like interesting to me the different people have come up to me and be like, wow, like that video about whatever, like gosh, it resonated. Or that like technique that you showed on a little board video, like far out, it helped me unlock whatever. And that's like, you know, you're just the accumulation of all the stuff has like really made me connect with the love of climbing again. Like it's so cool. And I don't necessarily think about that impact when I'm trying to do it, but you kind of, yeah, it's awesome to put that out there, and you just don't know the impact that you're going to have on like like literally changing one person's life. Insane. Like it's you might not ever know that you've done that. Like there's people that I watch and follow, you know, not in climbing but outside of climbing. Like I don't, you know, stick a love heart on their Instagram post or whatever, but I tune in and I listen to their podcast every single week or, you know, whenever it drops, and it makes a huge difference to my life. And there'll be no tangible evidence to them other than just like one little click of a download.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that my life is not richer for them putting their passion out into the world.
Maybe there's some like, you know, 12-year-old, like the age that you started, sitting in his garage, hanging on a hangboard with a Tom O'Halloran picture, like a Tom O'Halloran poster or something that he's printed off himself, to be like, I can get this to this level. Like, it's so cool to think about that. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's awesome. And I'm not sure if you fully like speaking about it because I sent you a message, but like you are like, yeah, the forefront of inspiration for a lot of Australian climbers. And I think you do an incredible job at it. I think, yeah, the way that you hold yourself in, you know, the public eye and stuff like that. But then also just present yourself and the way that you climb and everything, I think is, yeah, truly, truly inspiring.
Yeah. Appreciate it. It's like, it like,
appreciate it.
It's funny. Like I still honestly feel like that kid that like goes
that's
climbing
what resonates.
and like, yeah.
Thank you.
It's just one of those things where you're like, man, like, I don't know, like I'm just good at a recreation pursuit. And it's like, it's really easy for people to just like over index on the importance of that sometimes. And like, I guess that's what like in a way, maybe that the podcast and the videos and all that are like, me adding a new route to Elphinstone or to, you know, Blue Mountains or whatever it is doesn't mean anything in a way. Like it's this own thing, but there's like something way more tangible and impactful that I enjoy that feels way more positive when I put that media out there. And that's the thing that I love. And that's the thing that like means way more to me than like, yeah, the other stuff. Not to say that, you know, it's cool when people are like, man, I'm just like, so, you know, so psyched to go and try that. And you're like, because I had those routes, and you're like, man, one day I want to go and do that. Like you remember reading about, you know, White Ladder, and you're like, man, one day I still haven't gotten on it. But like, yeah, it's just like, it's cool that, yeah, resonates with people. Yeah. But, you know, still just little Tom from Brizzy. Yeah.
Doing cool things.
Yeah.
Well, let's, you know, be remiss to not talk about even your climbing a little bit. Like I love the stories. I love just kind of getting into it. But Yeah, let's touch on a little bit of like where your climbing is at just at the moment and where you are and how you're feeling about it all. Is the motivation there? Is everything feeling like you're wanting to, climb hard or how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's probably the most motivated I've been in a really, really long time,
Cool.
which is like pretty rad to connect with. Like I feel kind of giddy with it. And especially like as the weather just kind of gets better from here on, like we're heading into winter now, like, autumn into winter. And it's like, it's such a nice time of year. And I feel healthy and I feel, I think maybe I feel fit. I don't know. Like it's a funny time of year because like I haven't really had much of a chance to like get out on rock as much as I would like to like have those check-in points. But like I think things are going reasonably well. And yeah, it's just like I feel super excited about. I've got this like list of routes that have been like, man, far out, we've all done it. Like you make the list of routes of like, these are my projects for this year. And then it like just carries over to the next year. And like, maybe one of them's gone of the 6, but you're like, I'm like, okay, it's going to be a realistic one this year. It's like, yeah, it's going to be this and this and this and this. And then like just life takes over and you're like, oh man, I'd like maybe scratch the surface on one of them.
Dude, my list here, I've created a list of just like recommendations that people were saying and like I downloaded your Blue Mountains guidebook and just like best of the grades. And I've never climbed 27. Like my project's 27 and I had like 4 27s on there. Being like, this looks sick. This looks sick. And now I'm like in the mindset of just like, I just kind of want volume as well. Like none of those are going to get like I just got to have that list for a long time. I think
the amount of times that like you go on the bouldering trip to the Gramps and it's like, okay, cool. Yep. Yeah, if I do most of the guidebook, that'll be a pretty conservative list. I've like completely forgotten about fatigue, completely forgotten about knackered skin, completely forgotten about
weather
like
itself.
weather. Yeah, it was just feeling crap after getting out of the car.
Totally.
Yeah, like I just I feel really excited by it this year, and I do hope that I can achieve the things that I want to do this year. Like none of it's groundbreaking or anything. It's just like consolidating with like a few things that have like several projects that have been quite close a couple times and I've just like for one reason or another, like maybe I got slightly injured or the weather shuts it down for the year if it gets too hot or whatever it is that I'd really like to do. I got a coach actually for this year, which is like essentially the first time that I've had a coach in all my climbing. Like basically my training by and large is I hate fingerboarding. I hate doing like any of that. It's basically just board climbing is all I've done and just gone outdoor rock climbing for 20 years. I had a coach, Lee Cossey, through the Olympic process because it was just like, man, I need some help with this. But that was just for the Olympics. But yeah, I'm working with a coach now, which has been really cool to have that insight and just the accountability. Like that's the biggest thing for me. Like I kind of know well enough some of the things to do and I could like bodgy something together that would be like 75% of what needs to happen, but like the accountability to someone is awesome and I've got to like click the box that complete. So that feels really good and that has given me a lot of connection I guess with climbing in the last few months because the first bit of the year is pretty tricky to take too much time for my climbing. When Audrey's basketball, like we travel out to Griffith, which is like 6 and a bit hours away from here for like her rep weekends and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's just hard to, you go away for a weekend and you come back and then the weather's bad and you're just like, oh, I want to like, actually, I feel like I've been revving the engine for a little bit and then like feels like now it's like the time to stick it into gear and go for it. So yeah, hopefully like my big goal is to not get myself injured because that's been kind of the real handbrake for myself for the last 2 years, essentially. Like after 2024, bit burnt out, did the trail running, got back into it, climbed the Red Project, and then got back on Sneaky Old Fox at Diamond Falls, which is a route that like I've been on it before and like nearly did it on my second or third go on the first day I was on it. And then you're like, oh, I should get back to this. And then you don't. and 3 or 4 years go by. And then I did the same thing again of like falling off the last, essentially basically like the last or second last move on my second or third go that day. And like, oh, I should get back to this, and then didn't. And you just like keep on doing that cycle. And then last year I just came into it, well, that year, like the Red Project, albeit harder, is like more of a like technical kind of sneak fest rather than like endurance. And so I just came into Sneaky Old Fox underpowered and then hurt my finger. Oh no, I was feeling good that year. I popped my pulley on it going bolt to bolt on like my second day back, because I think I did the Red Project, put my drawers on Sneaky Old Fox for like the last little bit of the day, and was like, okay, cool, that feels really good. Coming out here a few days later, and then bolt to bolt, putting the drawers on, bang, there goes my pulley. And it was like fully buggered. There was like months off. And then, got back on it last year and was like not super fit because I'd had a bit of a like layabout beginning of the year. I was just trying to get myself fit on it, but it's like, it's so sharp and heinous. And then, just, I don't know, didn't go particularly well on it, and then went overseas to Chamonix and did some alpine climbing, and then the season was kind of shut down, so then I got on something else, and then I got injured on the other thing because I just like just haven't felt like I've had like a good role with my climbing basically, and I'm really keen to just connect with that this year of just like going out and just having that like family life rhythm of like just coming into the shed, having a train during the week, heading out, like you can get a sneaky day outdoors during the week as well. But just connecting with like that stuff would be really rad. But I'm also like, there's these kind of random idea projects that I want to do as well that are just like silly things. There's a couple of at Perry's Lookdown, there's this like pretty awesome concentration of hard sport multi-pitches, and I'd like to try and climb Scurvy, Stiletto, and Blind to Context in a day, essentially, which is like,
how many pitches is that?
Like off the top of my head, I'd say ballpark it's 7 pitches each. Basically every single pitch is at least grade 26, up to 30. So I think I worked out that it was like 15 pitches of 26 and above.
Whoa.
So like that would be like pretty rad to just
That'd be
like
cool to do,
go and do. And like I could totally whittle it down into this, like I go down and rope solo it and like just make it a real formality by the time I like tie into the sharp end for it. But I kind of want to just like go down and get a sense of all of the routes and feel where it's at, so I'm not like projecting them. Basically be like 70% prepared, and then go down and just like see if there's a little bit of magic that can happen, or and be like fully aware that like it's not going to happen potentially, and
that leaves space for the magic.
Yeah, because like
that's cool.
I really like that. Like just like let's go see what happens. That'd be fun. Like totally knackering. And like the fun thing as well is like that wall gets in the shade. Like you want to climb it in the shade, and it doesn't get shady until 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And then the sun sets. And so you're like, oh, this is going to be like a head torch thing. We're going to be like finishing at midnight or something maybe, at best. It'd just be fun. And like 2 of those routes I bolted. So like connecting with them, it's like cool again. And it's just like a fun way to make what is, laps essentially, like a fun little challenge. So, those sorts of things as well. Lee and I went down to Mount Buffalo last weekend, and with the idea of climbing a couple of the routes over a couple of days, and just like snowed out and rained and stuff on us. It was like pretty epic, but that was like, that in itself was just like so much fun to just be down there. It's such a beautiful place, and
So cool.
like the climbing just looks amazing. I haven't climbed there yet, having been twice. But like doing that sort of thing is really cool as well. Like I just love all forms of climbing basically, and like want to do all of it. And like hard climbing it's a funny one. I think we can all I actually don't know, like I don't know how to really explain it. Basically, like I know I've got the potential to climb like higher numbers than I currently do, but it's like sacrificing. What do you sacrifice to get that? Like I feel like I could go over and like with a bit of training and spend 3 months in Spain. It's like, man, I could like cherry pick a 37 or a 38 potentially and do that. Like, you know, first round, first minute has always looked pretty rad to me. Like I like that kind of style of climbing. And I think I could, you know, suit it reasonably well. But like at what cost does that stuff come?
Yep.
Like, man, I love hanging out with my kid and hanging out with my partner. And like, I like having climbing in context of my life. And it's like, you know, what am I willing to sacrifice to gain? And, you know, is the juice worth the squeeze with some of that stuff? So like for me, that like the idea of the performance side of things is how does it like fit in the context of my life? So like, it's not necessarily about like seeing the absolute maximum that I can achieve. It's like the maximum I can achieve in the context of, you know, being a present father and like helping coach her basketball or, you know, whatever else, work stuff. And also like, you know, Amanda, my partner, is a awesome climber and she loves it. And, you know, want to see her climb the things that she wants to climb as well, and like not take all of the space. And it's just balancing all that stuff is tricky sometimes. And but it, you know, that's life. And, you know, it's not about getting too caught up with any of it. It's just just want to enjoy going climbing.
And putting time into like the things that are important to you, you know, like climbing can feel like the most important thing in your life sometimes. And then like I've sort of just gone through this with Hay, where I've like really like I left a business that I own to now work in a climbing gym, to put effort into the podcast, to climb more, and like started building my life like really around climbing, and noticing that it took so much out of like the life that we want to create together. I'm like, oh, okay, like these are conversations that we had, but now like actually being in it and being like, I think this, okay, what is actually important to me? It's like, oh, it's creating this life like with us and the family that we will create and everything like that as well. Like, I think climbing can be overemphasized of how important it actually is, or it's just, it's something quite silly and fun to do and playful and all of these things. But taking a few eggs out of that basket again and trying to like rebalance, because I felt a little bit out of balance. And with that, you know, out of balance, then pressure starts to feel, because you're like, oh, I'm all in on this. Like everything has to be towards this. I have to be a better climber to have a podcast, and like all of these pressures come in and everything as well.
And it's so, I think it's super important to experiment with that stuff and to see. Like I've done it in the past where you push too far and you're like, oh, that's too far, but I can bring it back. And I'm and
it's a nice level.
And I'm further along than I was gonna be otherwise. Like every time you step into like an uncomfortable space, you're like, man, we did that. Like that's pretty cool. Like, you know, Amanda and I going through the Olympic kind of process, you're like, far out, if we could do that, like, we got heaps of confidence in our ability to like work as a team and to like put in a plan and execute it. And like we worked it out. Like I wouldn't want it to continue because it was flipping brutal. But you know, it gave us confidence to like do the next little thing, like you know, buy and renovate a house and like, you know, doing it essentially ourselves. Like, you know, you just build these little things, but none of that happens without like that experimentation and seeing where things are at. But
taking a little risk and then being somewhat self-aware enough to be like, too much risk.
Yeah,
like,
and it's like
back it down a bit.
Having the ideas and the I don't know, can't think of the word, but like those like cornerstones of things. I'm like, these are the things that are important to me. And if that gets disrupted too much, then like I know I'm out of whack.
Yeah.
And for me, like climbing, I reckon is like 20% of my life. Like, and it's a really important 20% and it's a really unimportant 20%. Like the most important thing is having a awesome relationship with my daughter and my partner, and for us to be like a healthy, happy, functioning unit. And beyond that, like, the climbing, it makes me feel like me and an opportunity to like do all sorts of cool things, but it's like, wouldn't be more than 20%, I reckon.
That's cool.
And like all in balance. Yeah. But sometimes balance isn't balance. It's balance on the macro, not like the day to day or week to week. And like, and I think it's the same for Amanda, my partner. Like, it's massively important to her, but it's all within context. So I have a different career trajectory than if I'd stayed in Brisbane and gone to uni and finished accounting. And we live in this tiny little town with like maybe less opportunities for different stuff, and we take, essentially we both work like 3 days a week so that we can have like more climbing and all that. Like we and just like more balance and more life than work. But it's just we have those sort of core values that we anchor into, and it just makes us feel happy and like us. And wherever life goes, like it's important that we're doing it together.
I think that's super special. It's nice to be aware of. You've touched on it a lot, but it would be, I feel, remiss to not speak about the Olympics, but even just like briefly touching on, because you're on your podcast, you've spoken about it and videos, and there's a lot of content about the Olympics and everything. You can go and watch them, you can go watch it all. But I guess just a simple question, but maybe a hard answer around it, is like, what was the biggest changes from Tom before the Olympics to Tom after the Olympics?
I think like what I was just saying is like this belief that you can do hard things in this way that I'd never thought about in the past or never explored in the past. It's a childhood dream, like for many sport mad Australians or, kids around the world. Like it's an incredible thing. And it was never something that I thought was going to happen because climbing just wasn't a part of it. And then, that opportunity popped up, and we're actually, Amanda, Audrey and I were on a climbing trip to Sayus, and our goal was to come up with a yes or no at the end of that trip as to like whether or not I was going to go for it. And it was a no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was like, nah, I'm not sacrificing like this. Like I'm not sacrificing, walking up to the cliff with my 3-year-old kid and my partner and us just like chilling and like having fun. And then, come home and because like this would have been 2017 or 18. And I'd been like dabbling. I'd seen it pop up, and it was like, okay, if I want to do it, I need to kind of like get back in touch with the comp stuff. Cause like, the last bouldering comp I did looked like a woody session. And then you're like, oh man, I got to like paddle and do all this stuff. So that's like pretty epic to get my head back around. And basically the only indoor climbing that I'd done in that like since moving from Brisbane in 2011 to 2018, the only indoor climbing I'd really done was on a woody. Like, so it's just like,
and it was triple discipline as well. Like,
like I never speed climbed. And so it's just like, okay, we've got to start like putting the dominoes in place if we want to start doing this. And then and that was 2017, and then 2018 we're like, no, not doing it. I don't want to miss out on doing this stuff. And then Amanda's like, I really think you should. And like, yeah, she convinced me, and like kind of I guess maybe allowed me to get out of my own way with it, and just being like, okay, no, this is actually like a once in a lifetime thing. And I don't know how old was I going to be. I was going to be like 28 if it had gone ahead in 2020.
Yep.
And yeah, like I believe that, you know, climbing, you know, I've gotten better and better and better and better. And so it's not necessarily like an age thing, but it's just like, you know, I don't know if I'm going to have the drive to like push in that way, or the life space to do it, you know, in the future. And so anyway, going to go for it. It was flipping brutal. Hey, like it's so hard. And I was going to say maybe it's harder, but like it was definitely harder for me to do than I think maybe other people, although everyone's got their own stuff. But like, you know, I'm trying to be like a father at the same time. Like Audrey was 4, 5, 6 years old through those years, and you're trying to be present, and I'm trying to like, yeah, like the training and everything and the lead up to it all was like epic. And it was really, yeah, it's full on. You kind of, you know, as a sport fan, you're like, man, I wish the Olympics were every year. It's the best. And then, you know, as an athlete, you're like, God, does it have to be every 4? Surely every 5. Like, you know, it's brutal. It like really didn't understand what we were getting into, and we probably would have been maybe a no. It's like that, you know, for everyone that I've spoken to that have like started a business or whatever, they're like, man, if I knew what I knew now, definitely wouldn't. But you kind of just like, you end up on the train and doing it, and you're like, oh wow, like we can't jump off now, it's going too fast. You always can jump out and just go no. But yeah, it's just like the ups and downs are tough, like mentally and physically. I think more so mentally for me. Like I've found it really lonely going through it all. Like, and because there's a lot of time in the car driving down to Sydney to go to the bouldering gyms, and then you're training by yourself, or it's just like, and there's a lot of pressure on, like, especially going into the qualification thing. It's like one discipline or one spot across all 3 disciplines, and so you got to stay in the right headspace for the whole weekend of the qualifying and the lead up to it all. And it's just like the pressure just felt immense.
Totally.
So yeah, and it was only, you know, because the more and more, you know, I go from it being like a no to connecting with that dream of like tiny little Tom that like saw the Olympics for the first time at 8 years old, and just like, whoa, like there's a international sporting event where everyone comes together and does all of their different sports, and it's like, that's amazing. And like I couldn't help but just buy into that dream more, harder and harder and harder, and I wanted it more. And like I genuinely just I enjoyed the process of the comp stuff as well. Like I enjoyed that feeling of like needing to execute it right now. And like I loved being out on the mats in a bouldering comp and like kind of performing to the crowd in this way. Like I loved sort of feeling the energy and needing to kind of go with it. And like I loved that. But it was also like the difficulty of the mental space that you needed to be at. And yeah, it was really flipping hard. And I nearly pulled out in the lead up to like a week or 2 out from the qualification event. I was like, no, I can't do it. Like it just, I would sit in front of like pull up to like one of the climbing gyms, and you know, it's essentially an empty car park because you'd be there first, like drop Audrey up to school or have left a little bit early, and go down there and just cry by myself in the car of an empty climbing gym car park and just like, man, I like can't do this. It's just like breaking me. And I'm sure that like every just about elite athlete has sort of gone through something similar, perhaps. It's just tricky because like all of this, it's the pressure, it's the like, you know, I can see my partner Amanda just like missing out on her dreams and stuff at the same time. Like, you know, she's really invested in the dream for us as a family, but like, you know, her climbing needed to take a back seat for that amount of time. And it's like, you know, that's hard to watch. And I'm like falling asleep on the couch and not, you know, reading Audrey a bedtime story and those sorts of things. It's like, you know, that stuff sucks. And you're like, man, what if none of this sort of pays off in a way? But it just, Amanda ended up getting me to see a sports psychologist, and that was super beneficial to just kind of put stuff in context and to, you know, when things are all in your head, it's a total jumble. But when you speak them out loud, you can, like, they get some air and some of them just float off. Like you say it and it just like goes. You're like, oh, cool. It's actually like not that big of a deal. And some of it, you know, it lands and you need to deal with it because it's right there in front of you. But, you know, and you're talking to people about it and it's a massive thing. And like there's heaps of little bits and pieces that I got out of it that are, you know, intangibles, but like they made a big difference. And then like the whole competition weekend is probably like a whole thing in itself, but like you know, there was COVID shutdowns getting called again, and it was pretty epic, but ended up getting the spot. And you kind of it's funny, like got the spot and you're like, hell yeah, you know, got my ticket essentially. And then
it all starts again.
And you like, we got in the car on the way back from Villawood Climbing Gym and you're like, kind of need dinner, don't we? It's like 10:30 at night or 11 o'clock or something. Oh, what's open? Macca's. We'll get that. Got some Macca's on the way home. And then you're kind of like, okay, cool. Well, it happened on a Sunday. And I'm like, oh, Monday morning, Monday lunchtime, I'll get a call from the AOC. Like, nothing. Maybe it's like kind of the wind down to Christmas. Maybe after, no, still haven't heard anything. I guess this is just like a solo journey then. Like, okay. And like that whole process was a different kind of pressure at that point. It was because you'd kind of gotten the spot and it was so open to where it could go. It's like, oh, well, just like see if we can find a little bit of magic happen. And there was like something pretty liberating with that. Like I came in with no expectations because I'd done 2 lead World Cups. I'd never done a bouldering World Cup, never done a speed World Cup. We got an opportunity to, because like the COVID stuff was still all happening, got an opportunity to try and get some travel exemptions, but would then need to deal with the like 2-week quarantine coming back in and all that. So that was like, I don't know what to do, but I actually just think that like doing it in Australia, and like part of my motivation was to try and just like see what it is that we need in Australia to make our athletes able to train and compete at a world level from Australia, because at the moment, or at that point, we definitely didn't have it. And I think things are starting to get a little bit better, but you know, it's not really there. Hugo Hornshaw spoke about that. And it sucks like seeing someone like him pull out, because like he's a really good climber and had a lot of potential. But you know, if we're just letting talent slide away, but it's, you know, it's a bummer that Hugo wasn't able to kind of connect with outdoor climbing or whatever. But you know, he also like we can find ourselves like thinking that just because someone's good at something that they should pursue it and to like fulfill their potential. And it's like, man, he's good at something, and like for him now going on his path, that's what it is. And you need to be happy for him for that like he's able to step away and do that. And just because you're good at something doesn't mean that you have to pursue it, or you need to pursue it at the very highest level. So yeah, a lot of respect for him for that. But yeah, you know, Olympics, you just keep on sticking your head down and train and go. So it's like, yeah, I had every session you taped up fingers, and like, I don't know how my body kind of held on and got like, you know, you watch like the videos about like the world's strongest man sort of stuff, and they're like, man, I eat so much food. I'm like, far out, I was eating so much food. Yeah. Like, just, you know, you got to fuel the work. And like, I was going through kilograms of yogurt a week and stuff. You just like, it was just, constantly eating just to put the fuel,
the energy back in.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed that kind of process. It had its own struggles and everything, but like through all of the ups and downs and all the different times that I nearly stepped away or wanted to just like do whatever, and all the craziness that was going on, there was this feeling that I had behind the wall, like behind the competition wall. I was about to come out and compete and do the first speed round, and like there's just TV cameras and the Olympic logos and everything's going on, and I just like had this moment where you're like, man, just like feel your feet on the ground. And like I look down, I'm like, I've got chalky hands and I've got the green and gold on. There's the little Olympic rings there, and you're like, I freaking did it. Like, I made it here. And it is probably like top 3 feelings in my life, was just standing there and just being so incredibly proud of what we had done to get there. And like it was all worth it. And just that feeling of like, there was no place in the world I would rather be. Despite all of the crap that had gone on, there was nowhere else in the world I'd rather be than stood there wearing that uniform, all chalked up, ready to go out. And unfortunately, what followed one of the best experiences of my life was one of the worst climbing experiences of my life. I just like my hands and feet and brain just didn't connect, and it felt crap. I felt myself there. I didn't feel frantic, I don't think, but I couldn't make it happen. And God, like it hurt so much for all of the work that had gone in and all of the dreams that I had of what I could achieve, because I knew that if I went out there and climbed my best, then I could do kind of well, perhaps, but it didn't happen. And that, you know, it comes back to that thing again of like, with all of the skills and knowledge and experience that I had, that was the best I had on the day, and that's okay. And like, it took me a long time to get like fully congruent with that, because there was such big feelings afterwards. And yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, it was an odd experience as well, because you're like, didn't get to go to the opening ceremony, didn't get to do the closing ceremony because there was like pretty tight restrictions on like the number of people in the village for COVID and all that. And there's like little screens at the dinner tables, like, you know, like the bus drivers have got, you know, or, you know, that it's all there. You can't like touch someone else, and you got to wear a mask everywhere, and you do a spit saliva test every morning and drop that off. And like, there's so much pressure of like, man, we could like get over here and end up with COVID, and then you can't compete. And then like, you kind of can't then technically apparently call yourself an Olympian at that point, like until you've actually stepped up on the blocks or the mats, or, you know, whatever your discipline is, like you got to actually have competed rather than just like
attended.
Gotten a train, plane ride over there. So like all of that was like pretty scary and weird. But then like there's just this feeling afterwards of like, oh, it's all over. That's it. And we were there in the village for a couple more days and like got to watch finals and all that. And that's really cool. But it was just like this odd feeling of it being all over, and then got back to hotel quarantine and like got a police escort on the bus, like as you come out of Sydney airport and into the city. And that was a weird experience of like, I mean, it's definitely not like being a prisoner because, you know, I had Uber Eats and all that kind of stuff. But there was this feeling of walking, like the concierge or whatever has opened the door to your room and you're like, I'm in here for 14 days.
Whoa.
And like the first day you're in there is actually day 0. So it's kind of 15 days. You're like, you walk in, you're like, man, this is it. Like, this is my room for this period of time, which was an odd feeling, but it was also like really nice to just like, after all of the stuff that had gone on, you like, oh, I can just like chill out and relax, and made some Lego and ordered some, you know, yummy food and caught up on TV and had a little treadmill in the room. Just, I didn't run. I just like walked just to have like, you know, put my headphones on and watch a couple of seasons of whatever. And you just kind of like walking along just so that you can have moved your body and all that. But yeah, it's like a weird sort of like high and low sort of thing. And I feel really grateful that climbing is, for me, primarily an outdoor kind of thing. So that like there was a sense of like, you know, there's definitely a big emotional dump afterwards, like that sort of post-Olympic down was there. But I just went out and like looked for new climbs to do, and it was more about just like going out into the bush and like searching for boulders or abseiling down a cliff and like bolting a multi-pitch and that sort of thing. It was like less about the actual climbing, but more about just like reconnecting with Tom the rock climber after all that time. And I feel really grateful that like climbing being so multifaceted that, you know, even though that one thing was a bit kind of burnt out, I had this space to be able to do a little bit more. So yeah, it's like not for the faint-hearted, the Olympic stuff. It's like, it's pretty brutal.
Takes a lot.
And you have like a lot of respect for the people that like to show up and do it more and more and more. And I really hope that like there is more support for Australian climbers coming through, and that it can be a bigger thing. Like it's pretty hard. Like, you know, training for me, like I could go into basically every single climbing gym and climb all the routes within. Like the routes I'd either on site or do second go. The boulders would be sort of something similar by and large, and like would need to wait until an entire climbing gym got reset before it was worth going back there, because like I'd done all of the whites or, you know, whatever it is. And yeah, I think that we need to get some harder climbs in the gyms. We need to try and make a sense of like a team, you know, like a little hub of stuff. And, you know, I don't know how you'd actually make all of that happen. It's a difficult process, but yeah, with it being an Olympic sport, we get more people, more funding. And, you know, especially with someone like Osh going overseas and doing as well as she's doing, it shows that, you know, that stuff's happening. But like the only reason that she can sort of compete on that, no, sorry, I don't want to diminish it in any way. She's an incredible athlete or anything, but like the success she's had is because she's been able to hang out in Europe for as long. She hasn't done that from Australia. And like to have the financial space and the you know, all of that for her to be able to do that is awesome, and it's shown the talent that she's got. But it would be unfortunate if in a country that is so well off as we are in Australia, like we've got so many resources and so many awesome people, and at every level that, you know, you would need to go to literally the other side of the world to be able to finally express that talent. So it'd be awesome to see something a little bit more in Australia.
With then, like, one of my questions, I guess, is like with let Australian climbing get in the funding and the resources that are necessary? Like how far do you think Australian climbing could go in terms of indoor and outdoor?
Definitely no reason why we can't have like gold medalists in climbing in Australia. Like we're all humans. Like, you know, like the Japanese are no different to the Slovenians, which are no different to the Australians.
Yeah.
Like we're all human beings, and we've all evolved from the same thing essentially. Like it's culture, it's attitudes, it's a mindset and a belief that stuff can happen. So yeah, it'd be cool to see Australians do super well. Like it would be flipping awesome, and we can. It starts now. It started, you know, when climbing got into the Olympics or whatever it is. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to see it happen here. It would be a bummer if the only way that we could make it happen is for like, you know, it becomes a financial thing of like who can afford to have, you know, the parents or themselves or whatever it is, like have them live in Europe for most of the year or whatever it is. Like that sucks, because like then it becomes this sport for the financial elite essentially. Yeah. And you know, there's no reason that we can't set up some of that stuff here in Australia. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think probably lead would be an easier one, I would say, to get better at with the resources that we currently have, because that, like, as much as it's about, you know, being able to do some of that coordination stuff up high when you're pumped and all that, like it's very much more a physiological challenge, I think, than bouldering is, which is just like a roll of the dice as to what happens. Like they're generally, if it's the same field that shows up to those World Cups, it's generally the same players in the mix. Whereas with bouldering, like you can have like Colin Duffy, who wins one, you know, weekend ago, like barely makes
great.
semis the following time because the mix of boulders. So, and I think that like that real difficulty is hard to make happen here in Australia without like setting, you know, the hard double digits. Whereas, you know, I could get a lot of value out of doing a bunch of hard laps on my woody here and, you know, translate that quickly enough by just spending a bit of time, you know, at Innsbruck or whatever, just to like do the final tune up. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Like it'd be really exciting to see that happen.
Awesome. I think so too. It's so exciting to see. And in terms of outdoor climbing, like not just the climbers themselves, but in terms of like the rock potential, how far do you feel that can go?
That's the biggest struggle for us in Australia, is the rock potential. Like I've zero doubt that like so many of us could climb harder. But it requires having the rock. Like in the Blue Mountains here, like so much of it is like, man, if Elphinstone had like no big horizontal jug breaks in it, the routes would be way harder. But we've just got these like boulder problems separated by, you know, on a lot of the routes, like a near reset rest kind of thing, or, you know, close enough to it. And if that wasn't a rest, it's like, man, Tiger Cat goes from being like low end 33 into being like solid 36 without big rests. And the actual bits of climbing doesn't need to get any harder. You just reduce the ability to get rid of lactate. Yeah. So that's tricky, but like there's a few places. So Lee and I were just down at Bungonia Gorge, and he has bolted a few things there. A few people have bolted stuff there on the limestone, and that definitely there's some hard things that have already been bolted that you're like, yeah, that could possibly be like 37, 38, 39, perhaps. Like I haven't pulled onto them, but you're just like looking at it from the ground, and like what Lee and I were on was essentially one of the easier looking things that hasn't yet been done, and it was probably 34. And then you're looking at like Ben's bolted one to the left and you're like, that looks like considerably harder, but there's edges. Like that could just be like a bunch of V14s on top of each other, and then chuck that into Darth Grader and see what happens. Like two V14s with no rest in between into a good rest, and then like a long V15 to the top or something. I don't know. Like I'm just throwing crazy numbers out there. Totally. But it's like, man, it kind of looks like it could be that with some of that stuff. So like it's potentially there. It's just not in the massive quantities. So sandstone definitely doesn't lend itself to like stuff getting too much harder, because like the holds either run out or you end up with big rests. So it's like not from a lack of ability or anything. I can remember being a little kid and just seeing that like the guys kept on putting up 33s, and you're like, you guys definitely getting stronger. Like, how is it still only 33? And it's like, well, because that's just what the rock lends itself to, like is a couple of sort of hard edges or whatever, and then it's there. But it's also like some of those projects just like drag themselves out because like you need to be at work on a day of good conditions, or like you whatever. So like it's tricky. Like you see some of the other people overseas that are just like constantly getting out and climbing, like, oh man, it's like it'd be way easier if I could just like choose the right day. But that's it's not really the point. It's more that like we just maybe don't have the rock in as much quantity to do it. A lot of the limestone is where a lot of it, the hard roots come from. And a lot of the limestone that we've got in Australia is closed. So like the Jenolan caves and some stuff out near Orange and all that is like, man, looks incredible, but you're just not allowed to climb on it. So yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. If anyone knows like cool limestone that is open, you could be sitting on some pretty good hard stuff. But, like you have a look, stuff at Nowra is like pretty rad at the moment. What like that little Nowra scene is doing is really cool. I bolted something there a few years ago that is in the Big Cheesedale cave, and it's like a short punchy like 34 into like a fairly kind of longish sustained sequence of what is essentially maybe 33 or 34 just in that little section, and then this outro bit that I reckon could be 35 ish in itself, and it's like a pretty long sustained sequence. I didn't really try it properly. I like spent the day bolting it, and then the next day like just had a bit of a tussle and chalked the holds up, but it like barely did any of the moves. But like, man, I don't know what that equates to be, but it's like it's pretty hard, and there's a bunch of other stuff in that cave that is like that, that you just it's there, and like Ryan's down there just like cutting sick and doing some of that stuff, which is pretty cool. So it's just a matter of getting like a few more people that are psyched and pushing that, and there's this like rising tide lifts all boats, and if people are bolting stuff here and then Nowra and Bungonia and there, and it's like you just get like more.
It'll start to pop.
Yeah, exactly.
Bound to pop.
Yeah, it's like it's a really exciting time, I think, in Australia climbing. Every time's an exciting time, but like with more people coming in and more ideas, and like some of those communities becoming more like Nowra's getting its like real like solid climbing community back. It seemed like a bit of a hub in the 90s when all that development was going on down there, and it's sort of like feels like it's kind of waned a bit and relied on maybe Canberra climbers or people from a little while away to like give it some energy, and it just wasn't really there. Whereas now, like people are living in Nowra and living their life as a doctor and a crusher. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Sick. Scene. Yeah, I think only the scenes are growing as well, which is just so exciting to be a part of and to hear more of as well. I think maybe we just, we're coming close to 2 hours, but I got some listener questions.
Oh yeah, sweet.
So we can run through them. Some of them have kind of been answered, but some of them have not. And I'll go through. First one from Jake Bresnahan. He's got the Fitz Traverse or Sleeping Lion, which I guess.
Which Fitz Traverse every single day of the week.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
Cool. Adventure.
Yeah. And just like a beautiful landscape. Like I've never been there, but it just looks just cool. And I like the idea of rather than like sharpening a sword even more, it's like learning how to use something new and like how to operate in that terrain would be sick. Yeah. Anyone that doesn't know either of those two routes, like Sleeping Lion being a 37 or 38 that Chris Sharma put up at Sirana, I think it was a handful of years ago. Looks really cool. And then, but you know, it's just another hard sport route. Yep. And then the Fitz Traverse being that like skyline traverse of the Fitzroy Range in Patagonia. Yep. So yeah, there's that cool video of Tommy and Alex doing it a few years ago. Just like, climbing's about experiences. And you go into those spaces and it's an experience. And like, I feel like with some of that hard climbing, you know where it's going in a way. Like you kind of just like strap into the roller coaster and you're like, oh, I'm going to have ups and downs. I'm going to stare at my skin. I'm going to have, you know, bad weather days and here we go, you know, it's done. Whereas like, dealing with the wild is like a pretty enticing thing. Yeah. So
adventure.
Yeah.
Aiden's climbing beta 2. How does your TB2 stack up against other boards? And is it better than the spray wall? I'm guessing the spray wall.
TB2 is, from what I have climbed on so far, which is like all of the moon boards, kilter board. There was something else in there. Basically, it's the best LED board that has been created that I've climbed on. I haven't climbed on the grasshopper board properly, but like it is so flipping good. And especially if you want to get better at outdoor climbing, like there's some bad feet on there. There's some bad handholds. You've like got to use a lot of tension. It is so worth it because I keep on meaning to make a video about it for YouTube as to why this is like by far the best thing ever. But like the density of holds, the grip type variety is all there. It climbs this is the 10x8. So it's quite kind of little. It's 2 foot shorter than a moon board, but I did know off the top of my head a little while ago how many, there is way more holds on this despite being 2 foot shorter than the moon board, which gives you way more movement options and way more kind of variation for different things. And yeah, it's just like, it is so good. However, I wouldn't only have that. Like my spray board is, that's my thing. That's my thing. Yeah. But I spend a lot of time on this as well. It's pretty awesome. Like, you know, sometimes you just, you know, my training program is like, cool, do like a bunch of V7s and you just like swipe. So that's pretty cool. And I don't need to think about it. And just like swipe. Cool. Someone reckons this was worth publishing to the world. I'm just going to do it. Yeah. And it ticks the box for what I need to do with my training. So like that has been pretty damn awesome. So yeah, I really, really love it. It's very good. And anyone that's thinking about like, you know, do I get a moon board or a TB2 or a kilter or whatever? Like if you want to get better at outdoor climbing, 100% the TB2 is, in my opinion, I could go so deep, but it's like seriously, like makes the moon board just look like a turd on toast, and this is Nutella on toast. Like it's just, it is awesome.
I can see it in your face. Bryce J, how do you approach training for long sport routes on your home gym?
It's kind of, so I'm going to do one of those like it depends sort of answers. a lot of the climbing in the Blue Mountains is more about like boulder problems into decent rests. And so it's more about being like overstrong for the boulders. And so a lot of that can just be like just having a good hard boulder session. But I do really like doing circuits and stuff. So we'll just set like a whatever 30, 40, 50 move circuit on here, and that just be on the Stoked app and just do that for a while. Actually, the beginning of this year, as I was coming back from a bit of a buggered finger, I did like 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off on here, and just like, there's a bit of shaking and traversing around and stuff like, and it started out as like maybe 6 minutes, and that felt pretty hard. But it got up to like 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, and it didn't feel particularly hard. And it was just like this nice aerobic base. It was probably a little bit harder than arcing, but it was just like, it was the only way I could really connect with climbing without having, disruption in my pulley injury recovery. And
what degrees are these at?
45 and 46.
Yeah.
I tried to hit 45 and, just
missing by a degree is fine.
Built all of this by myself, and it was like pretty epic to like manhandle these sheets of ply and the whole frame. I built the whole frame out on the driveway and then like walked it in and tried to like lift it up. It was a whole thing. So yeah, out by a couple degrees.
Yep. That's fine.
Or a degree.
A degree.
And I actually, so like another digression, like I would not go steeper than 45 unless you're climbing on like properly steep stuff all the time. I reckon like beyond 40, I reckon 40 to 45 is like the golden angle. Any steeper, and it's like not necessarily relevant for your outdoor climbing unless you like have a really big need to push on that.
Yep.
But yeah, a couple little like volumes gives me some pretty mincy little edges and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's sick. It's so cool.
I really like it.
Yeah.
And it's been like some of these holds, man. Like I was 12 years old when I got these holds.
Really?
Like, the uncarved block ones and stuff like that. Like, you got like a $100 gift voucher from like uncarved block for, coming second at New South Wales or, Queensland States or something like that. Yeah. And, bought a little selection of them. And so it's like 20 something years of accumulation of holds. So yeah.
Piece of history.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, my dream setup is a home board one day. Yeah. Cal Mather, what are the best hard projects in the country?
I'm guessing Cal's talking bouldering. There's some pretty good ones here in the Blue Mountains. There's Mega Arete down at the Megalong. And that is like probably V14, I reckon. That's really good. I've got one that I want to do this year that was actually part of my like mental health care plan coming back after the Olympics, was just like going down there and like refinding this boulder after Lee, Ben and I found it in like 2016 or 17, and then I just forgot where it was, and then went out for like days on end, basically pulling my hair out, like trying to remember where this boulder was. I'd like lost it, and it's like, it's so funny when you're like, I know it's here. What, like, it's somewhere like on this side of the road, and it's up there, and it like, it's here somewhere. And I went out, and it took me 2 or 3 days of like several hour efforts of just like literally just enough water and food in my backpack, and just like almost like a search party is like a walk all the way up from the road up to there, and then come all the way back down about 5 meters to the left. And then you go back up and then back down. Ended up finding it. And then like built this big landing that needed to get built. Just like a bunch of driftwood, just cut it up and stacked it out there. So it's this big like deck. And I went down there so much that unbeknownst to me, my Google Maps has like left it as like this little love heart spot of like, places you love. Like, oh man,
so many visits.
Yeah, but I've probably spent, I reckon, close to maybe 15 days on this boulder, and I still haven't done kind of like one move that leads into the like outro moves. But it's quite steep and quite tall, and it's just like hard to pull into this one section. Yeah, I'd really like to do that this year. It's got to be like, I don't know. Bouldering's hard for me. I don't understand like where the grades sit, but like, I've done V13 in the session. Yep. And that's this cool. Is like 15 days deep, and I still haven't done one of the moves. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Put that in Darth Grader.
I'd like to do that.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a few things out there. Root projects, like, I don't know, stuff that Ryan's doing down in Nowra. There's like some hard things down there.
Would you jump on? Have you been on Turbo Mouse?
I haven't been on any of them. Yeah. I don't know whether or not I want to go down and try them. Like, yeah. I like they don't fire me up as much, and like it's not to say that at some point I won't get down there and get on them and give them a go, but like coming back to the is the juice worth the squeeze sort of thing. Like I've got pretty awesome stuff here, and I can like hang out with my kid and bake apple pies in the morning with her, and then go to Elphinstone in the afternoon, and life's good, as opposed to getting in the car and like going down there and like investing in trying to climb like 36 3 hours away from home. When I've got like rad stuff here. So, and I've got like a cool hard project at Elphinstone that'll be pretty hard. Definitely it's the hardest bit of climbing at the cliff that has the hardest concentration of hard roots in the country. So like, it's hard. Yeah. If like, I don't know, it's it's a whole other thing about open projects and closed projects and all that. But like, I'm all for, the rising tide lifting all boats, and, projects kind of being open, basically. I think that it's a real shame when you don't get to have that teamwork and that, like, I don't know, I think that we put way too much emphasis on closing shit and being like arbitrarily the first person to climb something. Like it just doesn't flipping matter, and it should just be about like going out there and having fun together and like having the experience with people. Like I've found my climbing over the last few years like incredibly lonely to not be able to share it with people, and that like is probably part of the burnout stuff that I was feeling through those years, just not being able to like share it with folk. You're like, hey, let's go climbing, like come out, like come try it. Like no, don't want to. Like, well, kind of jump on with your stuff, like let's go climbing. No, like, oh man, like this sucks. Like, and it's like way more fun to share that stuff with people. And for like some like weird arbitrary like thing of like, oh yeah, you're the first one. It's like, man, like I don't know, like I think that like for Australian climbing to progress, we need like everyone to be working together. Like it's a team sport. Like it's none of us could have climbed the things that we could have climbed without people having done it beforehand. They're on our team. Yeah, like we've got to do it all together. So I just think that like that shit just doesn't matter. And I guess like it's always easy to say that maybe from like a position that I'm in where I've done a bunch of that stuff, and people can be a bit cynical about that point of view coming from me, but like it's seriously like, man, the experience of like being there with your friends and sharing it is like way better, or someone new, and you get to like have a new experience and relationship with someone, and like that stuff means way more than like having your name in size 4 font at the bottom of a freaking guidebook or whatever. Like, man, like people forget that stuff. Like we get so caught up in like all of that sort of world, and like none of us know who like our great grandparents are. Like I barely know. I've got to really search in the back of my mind, and I'm like maybe 80% correct or like certain of the name of one of my grandparents. Like it, and we're so caught up about like our name and our like you know whatever. And it's like it just doesn't matter. Like yeah. So all that being said, yeah, it's like man, hard projects and just any projects, like just share the experience with people and like. Yeah, there's like cool hard stuff out there, and like let's share it together. And like, you know, someone climbing it before you, it just doesn't matter. So I don't know. Yeah, it's yeah, life's way more fun when you share it with people.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Cool.
Hopefully that answers your question, Cal. Like, yeah, there's heaps of heaps of like project potential out there. And like sometimes it's just a matter of like, you know, that boulder that I was looking for, like we stumbled across it in 2016 and then I knew that there was that there to be found. And it took me 3 more days to like re-find it. So sometimes, and I nearly missed it actually on the day that I found it. So sometimes, you just like, go out, go for a walk, and find something new.
There you go, Cal. Grampians climbing, like the Instagram page. Any Grampians projects on the go?
Yeah, I have spent a embarrassing amount of time down there, or like lack thereof. My Arapiles time is even more embarrassing. I've done Tiptoe Ridge. That's it. It's pretty bad.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It was raining and I did it in my Sanooks. So like the fact that anyone that remembers Sanooks, that's a blast from the past. I would love to get down to the Grampians more. We were kind of half planning on getting down there over Easter and miss the boat. There's boulders down there that I'd like to do, both projects and established things. There's routes that I really want to get on. I was going to get on Agent of Cool over the Easter period. That was kind of like, looks really rad.
Yep.
Like Gilgamesh looks great. Anything on Taipan. Like I've only done Groove Train and like a handful of the kind of easier things there.
That's cool.
So yeah, like Sneaky Snake and any of that other stuff looks flipping awesome.
So cool. Yeah.
There's heaps of stuff down in the Wimmera that I'd love to spend more time on.
Yeah.
Every time you're down there, it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
It's like everything here.
Yeah.
So I went down there for a running camp in last year, I think, as a part of, because there's that like big running event that happens in November or December. And that was
Is that run the gate?
No, so it's the GPT, Grampians Peak Trail thing. So I remember being like fairly outraged by like all of that infrastructure and everything going in. It was like pretty controversial with the like closing stuff and then like literally bulldozing spaces through. But like, you know, it's there now. But there's a race that like does the whole 100 miles of that trail and then other shorter things. But the guys that run that event ran a little camp and just I went down there and ran underneath Taipan Wall, like up flat rock underneath Taipan, around the back, and like it's such a, whatever you do there, it's such a beautiful space to like just go and do stuff. So whatever it is I do down there, I really enjoy.
Cool.
It's just like that feeling of connection with that landscape that just feels amazing and like anchors you into the world. Feels real.
Oh, I'm excited to see you down there. Cody Moore 00. How would you deal with it's probably a bigger question. How do you deal with a long-term injury holding you back from performing at your best? I don't know if that's a simple question.
Stage 1 is accepting. I've dealt with a bunch of injuries in the last couple of years, and I mean, you got to talk to the right people. As soon as I get myself injured or feel something maybe coming on, I go and talk to Lee at the Move Clinic, who's a good friend, knows my climbing well, and is just knows his shit about physio and climbing injuries and that sort of thing. So like get the right advice from the right people and stick to the plan and hope for the best, and also just adapting as well. Like, you know, we get hyper fixated on, you know, needing to climb hard, performance is, pushing and pushing and pushing. And sometimes you just need to like step back, and it's like, if you've got a buggered finger, then maybe it's worth, climbing on other things, like get into big crack climbing or something that's like less strenuous on whatever, and just like fall in love with that side of things, or at least just like tolerate it until you can get back into it.
Start your Pilates career.
Yeah. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's another idea I've been thinking a lot about recently, is like we have such a like fixation on the short term, and like these things being like, oh, it's like it's the season's ruined now or whatever, and like, or even just thinking about like the next climbing day, and it distracts us from like, we don't know the end of the story, and we just see that like not being able to go out climbing tomorrow is the end of the story, or like this season or whatever. But like, we don't know what the whole thing is going to look like in 30, 40, 50 years time. And I think if we look at the bigger picture in that way, it's somewhat more, at least for me, it's more liberating to like not get as stressed on the smaller details of, and the little stumbling blocks along the way. It's like, man, a lot of us, if we love climbing, like, I'm going to be doing this for forever.
Totally.
Like 20 something years later, I feel like I'm only just scratching the surface of all the things that I want to do. So it's like, just know that it'll be there. It sucks. Yeah. It's like, it's a bummer. And especially like for me, the last little bit, like I felt like I was just starting to get a little like bit of inertia and momentum going. And then you're like, bang, oh, sore finger. Oh, bang, another sore finger. So like I feel it and it sucks, but it's over quicker than you think. Get into running if you've, got an upper limb injury, or like, I don't know, table tennis or something like that. I think most of the time,
so much to do.
Yeah, most of us have got like, if we can be passionate about one thing, we can be passionate about something else, and just, go and enjoy it. And I think just enjoy life. It's a pretty beautiful thing. There's a lot of awesome opportunities out there for us to do stuff. So
even just nice if it's like a really nice climbing day, and people are going out, just go out.
Yeah.
Like,
go out and just connect with it, and like just give them a catch,
go
or
watch people, give them a catch.
If that maybe
So
hurts, and you're not up for that, then find something else to do. Yeah.
PDDXXL. Is the Blue Mountains crew working on a bouldering guide for the area?
Ben and I, like many years ago, started going around and taking photos of spaces, and with the idea of like trying to put something together, but didn't get very far. It's like it's a lot of work. But yes and no. I think the other thing here is that like I think a lot of us are pretty happy to like show you where stuff is, but less happy to like have it super fully available. Some of the areas are a little bit more just couldn't tolerate like
Traffic,
mass numbers in the way that it happens. So the stuff on the crag is pretty good generally for like Mount Vic stuff, 4X and those areas. They're really good. Yeah. The tricky thing though, in like the bouldering up here is like, it really doesn't get good until it really doesn't get good until you're like bouldering above V9.
Right.
And that's not to say that like there's not some classics in the lower ranges and all that, but the rock just seems to not really, it's not for a lack of psych to develop the easier things. The rock, for whatever reason, just doesn't lend itself to the easier stuff. It can be like some of the easier boulders are just like on crap rock. Like it just, I don't know why, but like the way that it forms, there's not a huge amount that is like as worthwhile in that like under V6. And you know, there is a few things, but it's like not to the same degree as like the harder stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gone out to try and find easier things, and like I like climbing, and we'll scrub stuff up and, you know, climb it no matter what. But yeah, some of the harder stuff is like a lot better quality than the easier stuff as well. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. Sydney bouldering's much better for like all of that space, and a lot of the Blue Mountains bouldering is like, it's one boulder there and there might be a couple lines on it, but then it's like 20-minute walk to the next thing that has
no
like
clusters.
one thing on it. It's not like rocking up to trackside or whatever, which is just like
pretty mega.
Gold mine.
Totally. Nice, dude. Well, I'll leave you with the floor as well if we're coming to an end and wrapping this up. Is there anything that you'd like to add to the convo? We've kind of gone a bit of everywhere with it.
Yeah. No, I think just love it for what it is. Love yourself for who you are. And like the world's a pretty awesome space, and it's like I spent the last week camping and sleeping in my swag in some pretty good weather and just like looking up at the stars every night, and you see that and you just connect with the world again and just go, wow, like I can, like every opportunity is there to do whatever I want. Like it's just this game, and I just want to go and do it. And like there's something liberating about just being this like tiny little piece of the puzzle, and you can just play the game however you want and like go and climb and adventure and like connect with people and just put your own little mark on the world, because like none of it is significant, but it's hugely significant. Like it just, I don't know, just life's awesome. I struggle to remember that sometimes and connect with it, but like it really is pretty damn good, and climbing is good, and the people that you surround yourself by are important, and you know, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like I just positivity, man. Like it's the biggest part of all of it. Just remember where it all sits in the context of the world, and like use the lack of importance on it as a superpower. Like release yourself from any of the shackles that you put yourself through of, you know, getting fuzzled on a project or whatever it is, and just I really like that feeling of going, man, I've like waited all week to get out to go for a climb. If I can't just like listen to the birds and really feel it, then I've wasted it. Like I'd way prefer to have no projects climbed, but enjoyed my time at the cliff and with my friends and doing it all, than having climbed everything, but like in this really sort of I don't know, just sucking it up for the sake of like gluttony. Like that stuff doesn't resonate. And I think it's probably the case for a lot of us, but we can maybe get a little bit caught up in like just looking at the end goalpost. So I don't know, a bit of a like waffly finish, but I don't, just climbing's good, life's good. Thanks for doing this stuff, man. It's like, it inspires me so much to see and hear like people following through with their ideas and their passions. Like I'm sure you've had like a million different ideas of different ways that you want to like be a part of the climbing world, and like
so many of us do. And it's like, you just take action. Like the only way that stuff fails is by not taking action. You just like take action in the smallest ways, and like, you know, awesome things happen.
Write it out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, life's good and anything can happen. You never know what the answer is going to be or how it's going to finish. It just take actions and see what happens in the world.
One day you'll find yourself sitting in one of Australia's most decorated climbers' sheds. Well, yeah, you're an inspiration. So it's really cool to be here, and I really appreciate all the time that you've given me and the hospitality and everything here, and keep doing what you're doing. I think it's really cool to be a part of this community and sort of see how attached everyone is to, like, the deeper you get into these conversations with the Australian climbers who are at like the limit and doing like the big things. You really see like how important just like bringing life back into those small steps are. And you're an example of that, which I think is really, really nice to hear and to see. And I don't know, to climbing, to the love of climbing.
Tom squared out.
Tom squared out. Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.